Text 28. Lord Balarama entered the Tala forest first. Then with his two arms he began forcefully shaking the trees with the power of a maddened elephant, causing the Tala fruits to fall to the ground. Text 29. Hearing the sound of the falling fruits, the ass demon Denuka ran forward to attack, making the earth and trees tremble. The powerful demon rushed up to Lord Baladeva and sharply struck the Lord's chest with the hooves of his hind legs. Then Denuka began to run about, braying loudly. Moving again toward Lord Balarama, O king, the furious ass situated himself with his back toward the Lord. Then, screaming in rage, the demon hurled his two hind legs at him. Purport: the word Upakroshta indicates an ass and also one who is crying out nearby. Thus, it is indicated herein that the powerful Denuka made horrible, angry sounds. Lord Balarama seized Denuka by his hooves, whirled him.
There's the purport, right?
32 had purport.
Yeah.
I read good.
Yeah, so we'll finish there. Is it purport?
32, 33. 33 also has got
There's, huh?
33 also has got a purport.
Yeah, but 32 is a purport, and nothing much to, not that much to speak on in either of them.
Should I do word to word and read the word? 32?
Yeah.
Okay. Text 32. Saha tam grihitva prapodoho Brahmayitva eka panina chikshepa truna raja agre brahmana tyakta jivitam satangrihitva prapador satangrihitva prapador brahmayitvaika panina brahmayitvaika panina chikshepatruna rajagre brahmana tyakta jivitam satangrihitva prapador brahmayitvaika panina chikshepatruna rajagre brahmana tyakta jivitam satangrihitva prapador brahmayitvaika panina chikshepatruna rajagre brahmana tyakta jivitam.
Lord Balaram entered the Tala forest first. There, with his two arms, he began forcefully shaking the trees with the power of a maddened elephant, causing the tal fruits to fall to the ground. Hearing the sound of the falling fruits, the ass demon, Dhenuka, ran forward to attack, making the earth and trees tremble. The powerful demon rushed up to Lord Baladev and sharply struck the Lord's chest with the hooves of his hind legs. Then Dhenuka began to run about, braying loudly. Moving again toward Lord Balaram, O king, the furious ass situated himself with his back toward the Lord. Then, screaming in rage, the demon hurled his two hind legs at him. Purport: the word upakroshta indicates an ass and also one who is crying out nearby. Thus it is indicated herein that the powerful Dhenuka made horrible angry sounds. From the philosophical standpoint, there's not much to be elaborated upon in this section. Of course, philosophically you can, from anything, you can go anywhere. But from the, if you want to stick exactly to the texts and the purport, there's a definition of a word, upakroshta, and how it pertains to Dhenuka, making horrible, angry sounds. In this section of Bhagavatam, we're likely to find the speakers who are speaking that they have to take up some tangential subject. Otherwise, you could maybe spend the whole class discussing how the word upakroshta, how it's derived, the Sanskrit root, and then the prefix upa, how it could be used in different ways. But I'll go on to a tangential subject. There's a talk I've been preparing for quite some time on the evils of false prestige. So I'm not saying it with anyone in particular in mind here at the present time, but it is quite suitable if we're discussing an ass. And Dhenukasura, Dhenukasura, is in the form of an ass. There's an English saying, and it's probably in many other languages also, as stubborn as an ass. We may refer to someone as stubborn as an ass. Do you have such a saying? You may not have even seen an ass, although they were common until recently. Because the ass, which is a term of an insult to call anyone an ass, sometimes he gets it in his head that he doesn't want to move. So he has a big pile of washing on his back, or clothes to be washed, or whatever. Maybe he doesn't have anything on his back. And the master wants him to move. And he just stands there, and the master will whip him and whip him and whip him and curse him, and he won't move at all. So to stay, the saying is, as stubborn as an ass, which means that there are humans also who have the same stubbornness. That even if you tell them, this is wrong, this shouldn't be done, or you should do this, or your opinion is wrong, they won't shift. They're fixed in it. It's a kind of egoism, and it's more ridiculous in an ass, because an ass is a non-prestigious animal. A horse may have some kind of prestige. The cow in Vedic culture has a lot of prestige. Among animals, it's considered good. In the Western world, the dogs and the cats have high prestige. The lion everywhere. If we say, you are like a lion, that's praise. If you say you are like an ass, that's the opposite. So we see even among the animals, there are gradations. You could tell someone, you are like a lion, becomes very happy in your imagination. But actually, you are like an ass in reality. There's certain characteristics that are expected in an ass. We get a certain kind of body according to our mentality. So if we are stubborn like an ass, then we're likely to get an ass's body. What is this stubbornness of an ass? It's a kind of egoism that I'm so great, I can show, I'm not going to move. I have my egoism. And as we read yesterday, Srila Prabhupada writes that the ass sometimes he composes poetry and he makes a big loud sound as if everyone should listen to him. But he's just an ass, that's all. Although Dhenukasura was a formidable demon, so everyone was afraid to go into the Talavan, the forest of palm fruits, because he was a very dangerous ass. We don't generally think of an ass as being a very dangerous animal, but can be also. But it's a kind of egoism that, lacking any qualification, one is proud. It's understandable if someone is proud if they have Janmaishvarya Shuta Shri, reasons to be proud, prestigious birth, wealth, learning, physical beauty. Actually, no one should be proud, even with these things. But it's more understandable if someone is proud if they have something to be looked up to by others. But if they have nothing and they're still proud, that is ridiculous, foolish egoism. And spiritual life means to become free of egoism. This is especially stressed in the impersonal sampradayas. You have to become free from a sense of I-ness, ahankar. In the Vaishnava sampradaya, we stress the more positive aspect, that we have to become attached to Krishna. But we find in Gita, Krishna says, nirmama, nirahankara. He stresses that a devotee should be free from the sense of, this is my possession. I am so great, this sense of prestige. And we find that even in the devotee community, there will be some people whose it seems that their sense of prestige is very important. Now, there should be some prestige because it's hierarchical society and those who are senior should be respected. But to be so self-conscious, what are people thinking of me? And they should look up to me, they should respect me. It's for feeding the ego. But it will happen in the life of most devotees, or it may happen, that there comes in a point where a devotee is going up in devotional service, or they're steady in their service for quite some time, and others start to notice that and respect that. And that's a test. When you notice that you're being respected for your qualities, it may be that you've been doing the same service steadily and very well for a few years. May not be a major service, although all services, in Krishna's eyes, all service are major. But it may be something that, well, anyone could do. Taking out the garbage. Jayananda, the one recognized saint in ISKCON, recognized by Srila Prabhupada, he would take out the garbage. He's almost like he liked to do that. Among other things, he would repair cars and so many things. And he became noticed for that and for other of his good qualities. Now, when you notice that you're being respected, even if you're not trying to be respected. There are some who are trying to be respected. But if you notice that you're being respected, we can react to this in various ways. If you feel good, well, you do, don't you? If we say to someone, oh yeah, you're a really good devotee, then you feel good about that. And if you criticize them, you feel bad about it. Of course, in Gita, Krishna teaches us, tata manapaya, whatever, I'm not getting, yeah, tata manapaya, no. I just can't get it now. You see, now I have an occasion for myself to be disrespectful for not remembering a line of Bhagavad-gita. But if we like it, if we feel, oh, that's nice, I'm being respected, then we make that part of our consciousness, then we may start to do the same thing in a way that we're thinking, oh, now people will respect me for that. We may have been doing it before without noticing that, but we may be respected for taking out the garbage, or giving nice classes, leading nice kirtans, whatever it may be. But Maya has entered very subtly. And even though what we're doing may be the right thing, and we may be doing it in the right way, we may want to do more of it, or maybe I can improve my classes by remembering the verses better, or whatever. And we increase, okay, you go to giving classes, okay, let me learn more verses, whatever. Let me learn speaking style. Let me give more classes so people will be more impressed. We may not even register the thought in our mind, but if it's there, we're on downward slope. And we're not doing it fully for Krishna. It doesn't mean that you become Dhenukasura overnight. We're doing it for Krishna. But there's some mixture there which makes the devotion become artificial. There's an element of artificiality there. And this is how so many apasampradayas, they may begin with devotion, but it gets, for one reason or another, it gets compromised, either for gross sense gratification or for respect. Gross sense gratification, we can say the Prakrita Sahajias who engage in sex in the name of Krishna consciousness. Or it may be that desiring prestige, we are the Jat Gosais, we are the only ones who can initiate. It's our birthright. And what happens is that if someone is prominent and they have this anartha of wanting to be respected, that I should be looked up to by all, then whoever follows him, and it can be a relatively small group, or it can be a very big group, it can be a whole movement, it can all be deviated by one person's desire to be honored, desire for labh, puja, pratishtha, especially this puja, people should respect me, pratishtha, I should have a good post. So if we notice that I'm being respected, this may be more in the beginning of your spiritual life. One way is to respond is to pray to Krishna to protect me from this wicked mentality. You could withdraw from such services if you think, well, I'm leading kirtan, but what am I doing here? I'm doing it in such a way that people like. The main thing is that people will like it and say afterwards, oh, that was a really good kirtan, wasn't it? and then you may withdraw from the service altogether. Or you can take on, or you can continue doing the service and praying to Krishna to protect me from this. That's before we give a talk. We're supposed to say prayers. Vandeham Shri Guru, for praying that now I'm representing you, the gurus and the acharyas and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna. I'm representing you and praying for the mercy. To remember that I'm only supposed to be an instrument here. Or one may withdraw from such a situation. But it's better to continue with the service, but not continue with the contamination. It may not be very easy. The best way to respond is to continue with service. If you can do a service well, then good, do it for Krishna. But to try to check oneself from any consideration of egoism or prestige, and considering that the very idea I shall be respected, the very concept of prestige, is antithetical to bhakti. And it breeds a bad mentality which can be communicated to others subtly. And then it becomes like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you can't distinguish the real creeper of bhakti from the weeds. And so those who are interested in becoming honored and prestigious, they consider, well, this is very good. It may be good if we offer everything to Krishna. It's good. The devotees should be honored. It's quandary. The devotees should be honored, but at the same time, the one who's being honored shouldn't want to be honored. And he may have to accept honor as part of his service. That happened with Madhavendra Puri. He tried to avoid that, being honored, because he understood that when the people in Remuna came to know that Krishna had tricked the pujari and kept one pot of kheer for Madhavendra Puri, then the pujari the next morning is going to tell everyone, and everyone's going to come and start bowing down to me and respecting me, and he ran away. Pratishta Shabhav e jagate bidit, je na banche tar hoy vidhata nirmit. Even though one may not like it, the very nature of reputation is that even if you don't want it, then Krishna arranges that you get honored. But what happened with Madhavendra Puri? Pratishta bhoye puri gela palaya. He ran away from that place and went to Puri. Krishna preme pratishta chale shange garaya. But the reputation brought by love of Godhead is so sublime that it goes along with the devotee as if following him. He couldn't hide it. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, this is in the purport of this verse, Srila Prabhupada writes, it's quite relevant to this discussion. Almost all the conditioned souls within the material world are envious. Jealous people generally turn against one who automatically attains some reputation. This is natural for jealous people. Consequently, when a devotee is fit to receive worldly reputation, he is envied by many people. This is quite natural. Doesn't mean it's good, but it's natural in the material world, because the material world is a place of envy. When a person out of humility does not desire fame, people generally think him quite humble and consequently give him all kinds of fame. Actually, a Vaishnava does not hanker after fame or a great reputation. Madhavendra Puri, the king of Vaishnavas, bore his reputation, but he wanted to keep himself outside of the vision of the general populace. He wanted to cover his real identity as a great devotee of the Lord, but when people saw him overwhelmed in the ecstasy of love of Godhead, they naturally gave credit to him. Actually, a first-class reputation is due Madhavendra Puri because he was the most confidential devotee of the Lord. Sometimes a sahajya presents himself as being void of desires for reputation, pratishta, in order to become famous as a humble man. Pretend to be humble so that people will praise you for being humble. Such people cannot actually attain the platform of celebrated Vaishnavas. In this purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about Madhavendra Puri wanting to cover his real identity as a great devotee. There are narrations of Babajis in Navadvip and Vrindavan who people were respecting them for being great devotees. So, especially in Bengal side, they'd leave fish scales outside their hut, so people would think they're eating fish. Or they would hire a prostitute to come and sit outside their hut, so people would think he's having a relationship with a prostitute. Just so that people would think, he desired to be thought badly of, thinking that this is better than being thought well of. We don't recommend doing such a thing, but the message is there. That may not be for us, that we're going to sprinkle fish scales so that people think we're eating flesh. But the lesson is there. Those who are very concerned with prestige, promoting myself, they can never have love in their heart because their dealings with others are all on this basis, that people should respect me. And you can't have love and you can't have devotion to Krishna. You may have friends, but such a friendship is all based on mutual backpatting or mutual praise. You may be very well behaved, very polite, but it's all calculated, superficial, that I'm always acting. If you get this in our consciousness, then we don't even recognize ourselves that we're always acting, some show projecting a profile of what people think we are. But inside, it's not happening. The mood of humility and devotional service isn't being cultivated. So we may go on with devotional service in this way, but Bahu Janma Kare Jadi Shravan Kirtan Tabuta Napai Krishna Pade Premadam. We can go on like that for many lifetimes, but we won't get love of Krishna. Jai Rupe Loile Nam Prema Upajai Taha Lakhon Shuno Sharup Ram Rai. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai, what kind of devotion do you do that you get prem, that prem arises in the heart? What's the secret? Listen, I'll tell you, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. And what's the next verse? Chunada pi suni chena torori vasahishrana amanina amanadena kirtanaya sadahari. We all know the verse. It's easy to learn, but it's not so easy to internalize because, as Srila Prabhupada said, it's natural for people to be envious of others. It seems like natural. We have internalized over countless births an attitude of envy toward Krishna. Krishna bhuli se jivanadi bahirmukh. An attitude of envy toward Krishna. And that spreads to others. Krishna describing the symptoms of a devotee. He begins, Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha. He has no dvesh, no bad feeling toward anyone, to any living being. Is a friend to all and compassionate to all. But that is unusual in this world because we all have deep-seated envious feeling toward Krishna, which spreads to others. And that arises as the desire to be respected by others because we have the attitude, Ishvaro Ham. Everyone should recognize, I'm the best around here. And we become envious of other devotees. Oh, why has he got a big position? Why don't I have such a position? Why haven't I been recognized? Failing to get such a position, failing to get the kind of respect, he becomes more envious, increasingly envious. Now, devotees who do significant service, they should be recognized. That's a Vaishnava principle. But doing big service or doing service well, it gives opportunities for Maya to trick us. Big service means big opportunities for Maya. And when we start to think I'm big, then we may have the attitude just like Chevan Muni. Srila Prabhupada writes, a great personality like Chevan Muni has the temperament of always wanting to be in a superior position. Such a person cannot submit to anyone. And we get in that situation, we get that attitude, and it becomes very dangerous. Leadership role in Krishna consciousness, it is guru role. And gurus have to accept the poison of Labh Puja Pratishta, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said we should be very careful about. Nishidacha kutinati jive hingshon Labh Puja Pratishtadi jato upashakagon. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu warned, wrong behavior, engaging in activities that are forbidden, diplomacy, envy of other living beings, desires for personal gain, desires for honor, desires for permission, and so on, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. These are all the weeds that can choke our devotional service. Now, taking a leadership role, guru position, it's a quandary because someone has to do that. But then it's the duty of others to offer money and so on to those who are gurus, to offer respect. And if the person receiving that can't digest it, then it turns to poison. Actually, not really digest it, just send it up, that's all. It's not for me. But if we don't, and we try to keep it for ourselves, then it becomes like poison. And that poison spreads to others. That attitude spreads to others because yad yad achrati shreshtas tatad evetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadonuvartate. People who are looked up to by others, their example is followed by others. So recognition will come, but we shouldn't want it. And those who expect to be recognized and resent it if they're not honored, or not honored to the extent they think they should be, then they're in a bad space themselves. And they may radiate that to others. And then we find, when we start to think, I have to have this position and this respect, then we'll keep around us those who just do what we say and who praise us. And then we get nepotism. You know what nepotism means? Like dadagiri. I don't know how you say it in Tamil or Russian. Whatever. Chamchagiri, all this kind of thing. That's the opposite of udar. A devotee, especially those who are in leadership role, they're supposed to be acting for the benefit of others. But a different mentality comes. And then for the sake of getting more recognition, then we become more interested in quantity, bring more money, bring more followers, and not focused on how we can help those who are coming in so much, but just bring them in, quantity over quality. And we become interested in having big titles, big things to show off. I've done this, I've done that. I'm going to do this. That's something that I've heard so many times. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Don't boast about something you haven't done. Anyone can say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And for the sake of bringing in more and more people and more money, we're ready to make compromises. And then nadhanam, najanam, that becomes something which we recite in the morning, and it goes as far as that. And when we become interested in dhanam and janam, wealth and followers, then we become interested in sundarim. We want money, that we want to use it in the service of Krishna. We want to bring people into Krishna consciousness. But if we want it to show off, see how much I'm doing, then that turns into gross. The desire for followers is a subtle contamination, but that will turn into the gross contamination of desire for mundane sex life. So it can be that a devotee or an apparent devotee is very active, very dynamic, great preacher, doing something, doing wonderful things, but they don't have a proper connection with Krishna, the ultimate source of all good qualities. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to use the term living source. We have to be connected to a living source. That means a living source of devotion. So someone may be doing so many things and saying so many things, but if their attitude is not right, we may be connected to them, and we may also do big things and wonderful things, but we're not properly connected with Krishna by the mood of selfless service. And then we don't get bhakti. We can't communicate that to others. It may be a semblance of bhakti. Something will be there. Somehow or other, if we chant the holy names, that's going to be to our eternal benefit. But again, if we're not clearly on the right path, then it may be a case of Bahujanma Kare Jadi Shravan Kirtan Tabutana Pai Krishna Pade Prem. We don't get the real thing. And again, if we're more interested, just bring more, and then we foster sentiment more than commitment. And we may promote, you'll get this material advantage. You chant Hare Krishna and then you'll get this benefit and that benefit. We stress on the material advantages. Oh, you come and join us and we'll make sure you get this position, and lure others into devotional service by offering some position or some prestige, some facilities. We'll give you good pay. We'll give you comfortable living quarters. You're stressing what will you get materially rather than surrender to Krishna. And then we get this consciousness of I, me, and mine. It's all part of the material consciousness. This is my zone. You don't come here. I'm not going to preach in my zone, but you don't either. Don't come here at all. This desire to be recognized. It may not even be just for this life. We may make plans how I'll be recognized, even after I'm dead, even after I've left this body, my name should be perpetuated. But this kind of attitude of putting myself in the center, it destroys all real preaching, which is to induce in others a sense of being a servant of Krishna. And then self-promotion, making a big show, the big devotees coming. Well, what's the message? It becomes more of just promoting a person than the message, which we'll see Srila Prabhupada didn't do that. Among his disciples, he taught them to worship him as is proper, but he promoted Krishna and Krishna's message of Bhagavad-gita. He didn't promote himself. Those who promote themselves, they're already out from devotional service. It's a kind of fall down in and of itself. And whoever wants to follow them, they also get in the same bad situation. It's like devotional service, but not really. Something missing there. And one who preaches with a motive of self-promotion will soon find that those he preaches to will also try to drag him down, because you're cultivating an attitude of envy, and then they think, well, I can also go above the one who brought me in and promote myself. They learned the bad lesson from their guru. I'm sometimes afraid to tell someone I want to preach. Some people, better you don't preach. In some cases, because why do they want to preach? It's interest in showing off what I can do, rather than really wanting to serve the parampara, acharyas, and benefit others. So if someone tells me they want to preach, I don't want to tell people to preach without first seeing what is their motive, or how strong are they in devotional service. Can they get carried away? And then you may make so many arrangements in the name of preaching for comfortable living, but you can be kicked out any time. By the laws, kicked out of the body, or you can be kicked out of your situation. Maybe that's good. If you have nothing, you can really become akinchan, having nothing. Devotees aspire to be like that. We can make all kinds of arrangements for our security. Apart from buildings and rooms, but making alliances with other leaders in devotional society so that they'll back me up. But because it's all based on alliance basis, not on the basis of how we're all serving Krishna, then again, in politics, a friend today is an enemy tomorrow. So we can do all this kind of thing, but we won't get love of Krishna. And if we preach with personal motivations, then we're going to get some reaction for that because we're taking advantage of people materially. It may be understandable that people are very concerned about, devotees are very concerned, what will happen to me in the future? You can't trust anyone in ISKCON. And it's kind of understandable because elders aren't cared for in this present culture that's coming more and more. What do our acharyas say about this? Raghunath Das Goswami. It's really heavy what he says. Pratishta asha drishta svapacharamani me hridi natet katam sadhu prema sprishati shuchir etan nanu manaha. Svapacharamani means a female dog eater. Now in the present age, in India, you can be arrested for making allusions to the lowest kind of people in society. But then you can't read scriptures because it's there in our scriptures. But he compares the desire, Raghunath Das Goswami compares the desire for prestige and honor to drishtas, a puffed up, arrogant, chandala woman. And he says, as long as such a woman is dancing in my heart, then how will pure love touch my mind? How will there be pure love for Krishna if I have these most despicable, that's the point he's making by calling it drishta swapacha ramani. It means most despicable desire for honor. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur echoed that. Pratishta chandali nirjanata jali ubhaye janeho mayakararav. The woman, the chandala woman of desire for honor, or the trap of wanting to go away from devotional service, go away from the just be on your own and do devotional service on your own. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says both of them are a kind of hell created by Maya. You should know that. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, Jore pratishta shukare bishta. The desire for mundane prestige is like the stool of a pig. So you might as well get stool of a pig and rub it all over your body as desire to be honored. Srila Prabhupada's translation of Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 13, Text 34. Those in human society who are intelligent should give up the original cause of lamentation, illusion, fear, anger, attachment, poverty, and unnecessary labor. The original cause of all of these is the desire for unnecessary prestige and honor. So the desire for unnecessary prestige and money. So unnecessary prestige gives rise to lamentation. I'm not being honored enough. illusion, fear. Will people honor me enough? Anger, we get angry if I'm not honored enough. Attachment leads to poverty and unnecessary labor. So we should rather think, remind ourselves how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami thinks of himself. Jagai madhai hoite mui se papishta purishe kit hoite mui se logishta more nam shune jai tar punna khoi more nam loi jai tar pab hoi. He says, I am more sinful than Jagai and Madhai, and I'm lower than a worm in stool. Whoever hears my name loses his pious credits, and whoever says my name becomes sinful. It seems almost impossible for us to think like that, but that is Vaishnavism. Okay, so there's a few thoughts about the prestige of an ass, the foolish ass's desire for prestige, and how we should not follow in the footsteps of Dhinuka, but rather we should aspire to be pure devotees of Krishna. Whose side are we on? Yudhishthir's or Duryodhana's? Krishna's, are we with the cowherd boys? Are we with the Dhinuka and his followers? He also had followers. Hare Krishna. And finish there. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Ancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvyavata patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj ki jai.